Hi, you guys. I will give you a few people a chance to come in. Hey, Jasmine, how you doing? I hope everybody has had a good day. Hi, you guys. Thank you for joining. I'm just giving you guys a chance to come in. I am live on my regular page as well as in my Woosah Sister Circle. If you guys can see me in the Sister Circle page, if somebody could say, hey, how you doing? Something that would be awesome. Hey, Tanya, how you doing? I hope this glare is not a distraction. I've been trying to fix it, but can y'all hear me okay? Say yes, no, maybe so. Like I said, I'm giving people a few minutes to get on, and then we will talk about our topic tonight, which is overcoming grief during the holidays, which is a very needed subject that I think everybody at some point will either deal with or are dealing with at this time. So, okay, so we'll go ahead and get started. For those who do not know me, my name is Coach Rhonda. I am a life coach, personal development coach, so I help you break through into your destiny. And tonight, we will be talking about how to overcome grief during the holidays. Over the past 8 months, I have been kind of walking through a grief process. For those who do not know, I lost my youngest brother on April 6th of this year. So for about 8 months, I've been dealing with that. But one thing that I've learned through this process is that God is so faithful. He's so good. He loves us unconditionally. And so I wanted to share some of the nuggets that I've learned through this process with you guys. I know the holidays are difficult. I know it can be hard to walk this process, especially when you love someone and someone that you love is not here. Hey, Herlene, how you doing? So, just to kind of talk to you a little bit about grief so that you can get a foundation. If you're here, you know what the process looks like, feels like. However, there is what do they call it? A Kubler-Ross model for grief, right? And this stage, the 5 stages of grief that they talk about is denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. When I walked through my process and still walking through the process after my brother died, my brother, we were like twins. We were very close. He was my only brother. And so when the whole process happened of him passing, it was sudden. We did not expect it. And it was like one day he was here, the next day he was gone. So we didn't have any time to kind of see and catch our breath or even prepare for his passing. And so with that, you're walking through this new process, an unexpected process, and you don't know what to do. And so now as we go through the holiday, this is our first holiday with him not being here. And with the 5 stages of grief, one thing I think about grief that people don't, and I don't believe they do this on purpose, but as a family goes through that process, we don't know what to do at that time. And so it's really difficult to kind of express how you feel. And it's hard to tell you if you're doing well or if you're not, because sometimes you don't even know if you're doing at all. And so the first step, and this leads us to the first step. The first step that you need to understand, and all these steps will not be in any particular order, but one of the first steps you have to understand with grief is, number one, you have to give yourself permission to grieve. Hey, Robin, how you doing? When your loved one dies, sometimes you think it's wrong to fall apart. I think through my process, I heard so many times, oh, you're so strong, or you'll be okay. And or even having people come to you and look at you like, oh, are you all right? And not feeling like you have that right to really just say no. I know as a woman, and from the women that I come from, we've always been taught to keep it together, but it's healthy and it's needed to give yourself that permission and that time to go through that process, to grieve. It is not selfish to say, I don't want to be bothered right now. It is not wrong for you to say, I can't do it right this second. I'm just giving you that time and that space to go through the process. One of the things that I struggled with, one was, I was coaching and I was active or becoming active at church. I had things that I had to do at work. And so you feel all these obligations and you feel like you have to be pulled in so many different directions. And I didn't know which was right, which was wrong. What should I do? What should I not do? And so it was important for me to give myself that time and that space to grieve, to give myself that time to breathe. And anybody, if you're having a problem hearing me or anything like that, just let me know and we can go from there. Number two, the second thing that really helped me, the first was give yourself grace to grieve. And the next tip that really helped me through the grieving process was to know my limitations. I'll put it this way. I do not believe, and I keep saying this, I do not believe that people do certain things on purpose to hurt you or to be mean to a certain extent, but I do know that it is okay not to be pushed into a place that you are not ready for at that time. For example, at Thanksgiving, my family, we have a Thanksgiving dinner that we go to, and we love it. Awesome dinner. We get a chance to be with our family. We have a chance to, see family that we haven't been seen in a long time. And in that process, we have like a little service type thing, and there is a portion where you can stop and remember your family members. You can remember those who have passed, and all you do is just say their name. And I remember standing, because we do like a moment of silence, and I remember standing there and just kind of breathing. And everybody was saying their family members' names so that they could remember them, but my family did not. And I kept thinking about it, like, why? Like, why would we not say it? But I understood that we weren't ready for that piece, and it's perfectly okay. We were not ready for that process to, not that we don't accept the fact that my brother is no longer here, not that we don't believe that, not that we don't accept that he's not here anymore, but it's just knowing where you are in your process and giving yourself that permission to be in control of how you grieve. And what I mean by being in control of how you grieve is just guarding yourself and guarding your process. That's another tip. Guard your process, because you cannot grieve the same with everybody, no matter how long or short your grieving process is. You cannot grieve the same with everyone. And as much as people love you, as much as they want to be around you, as much as they care, sometimes I would find that when you would get around certain places or certain people, it was almost like they tried to force you into grieving. I don't know if it made them feel better or if they were looking for, I don't know. But what I do know is that when we would get into these certain places, it would almost like it would make you feel sad on purpose. And And everybody does not deserve, or everybody does not have that right to see you in that place if you choose not to. And I think one of the biggest things that people deal with when it comes to grief is knowing what is okay and what is not. Is it okay for me to say no? Is it okay for me to say, okay, come on? And so just making sure that you are okay. One, protecting your process, giving yourself permission to grieve, and knowing your limitations. I think what helped me a lot was knowing my limitations and creating those boundaries that helped me to be able to move at the pace that I need to move at in order for me to be able to walk this process out. Everybody's grieving process is different, and everybody will experience grief in a different way. Another tip that will help you help you with grief, to overcome grief during this process, is a healthy community. Healthy community is probably one of your greatest lifelines, because it will help you maintain and continue even when you don't want to. A healthy community. A healthy community will help you get out of bed when you don't want to get out of bed. A healthy community will help you push when you don't want to push. A healthy community will be that lifeline that will help you keep moving forward. I even remember I had just not necessarily recently, probably about 6 months in, prior to my brother's death, I had just joined the church. And what I know for a fact is that the Lord knew what was going to happen, because once going through what we went through with his passing and being a part of a church, a healthy church, really helped our grieving process that we walked through. But it also helped me grieve in a healthy way. And I was able really to get into the presence of the Lord, to let out my hurt, let out my frustrations, to let out all of these things that were just in an environment that just let me be. Nobody came, and I didn't have people rubbing on my back all the time and poor baby and all of that. And your environment will either make your grieving easy or it will make it very difficult. And what I mean by that is being around people who are sad, sulky, and worse off than you is not good. And that goes right back to making sure you protect your process by making sure you give yourself permission to grieve, know your limitations, protect your process, and being in a healthy community. That unhealthy community will cause your grieving to be so much harder. And I think sometimes it's just because people don't know what to do in that type of situation. But one thing that I learned from a very good friend of mine, who has experienced grief on a whole nother level, is that, she really helped me through the process. Community. I called her one day because I was having a really hard time, and I texted her and I said, well, how do you do it? And she just said, I cry sometimes. Sometimes I just call people and I sit. Whatever you need for me to do, I'm there. And that was one of the most refreshing and humanistic, realistic things that I could have ever heard in that situation, because a lot of times people feel like they need to make a comment or say or do something, and sometimes just sit there. You don't necessarily have to have somebody there saying or speaking or doing something all the time. But I do say that community was that lifeline that helped me not to go into deep depression. And it's not that I don't struggle with things now, but having control of that process of grieving in a way that I can process it and understand what's going on to the best of my knowledge, and being connected to Jesus. I'm just saying. But being able to process it in that way really helped me move through the process, because you don't want to get stuck in grief. Even if you grieve, you want to move through it. No matter how long or how it happens, you want to make sure that you are constantly moving into the process. And so when you're going through and you have those days where, you just get stuck and you don't want to move, you don't want to do anything, that's when you pull on that community. That community will be your saving grace a lot of times when you just do not feel it. You just do not feel like doing anything. And so another key that I learned through to overcome grief, because if you have to be very conscious of the grieving process. That's a key as well. Be conscious of your process. Know yourself. Get to know yourself through this process. Know what will send you, or what things will trigger you to go into a negative direction. I know there are times when I can talk and laugh and joke and be fine, talking about my brother, and then there are times when I cannot, and there are times when I don't want to discuss it. But it's really being aware of yourself and being aware of your limitations in that time to know what you can and cannot handle. You do not have to force yourself to make people believe that you are still grieving. And that's something that I struggle with initially, because you want people to, and it's funny. I don't even know why we do this, but it's like you want people to know, yes, I love my sibling, or yes, I love my loved one that passed. Yes, I really do care. I'm upset, I'm still having a hard time, but it's nobody's business. And I say it because it is. I would see people out who knew my brother, and when I would see them, I automatically, as a reaction, would show them sadness on purpose. And I'm like, why in the world am I doing this? I didn't understand it, but it was because of our perspective of grief and what it's supposed to look like, or what are we supposed to do when it comes to grieving. And we have to change our perspective on grief. Grief is a personal process. Everybody goes through this process however they need to walk it through, not to sit in it, but to walk it through. But this will lead to the next key to overcoming grief during the holidays and beyond, really. And that is choosing to be happy. You have to choose to be happy on purpose. And that is that listen, if I feel like I'm going to get depressed, or I want to be sad, I'm going to go and either watch a movie that's funny. I might get on Facebook or watch a video on YouTube to make me laugh. I'm going to get around people who can make me laugh, that will lighten the mood. I'm going to lighten the mood myself. Because you have to make a determination and a choice on purpose to be happy. One thing that I know about my brother is, one, he know I'm not going to sit around and cry all day. I mean, I'm just saying. And two, even if I'm sad, there's no way that he will want me to be sad forever. That doesn't make sense. And so you have to find that thing or that way that helps you to walk through it. And when I was talking about in the beginning, the 5 stages of grief, I kind of looked them up and kind of read up a little bit about them. And there is no particular order that you would experience these signs. They have denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. So there's no particular order in how you would experience these. So at any time you could be excited and happy, and then all of a sudden a wave of anger might hit. You're mad, or you could be going along fine, and all of a sudden sadness just hits. It just sits on you, and you don't even know where it came from. And so that's why I'm having these tools here available to you, so that when these times happen, you have a tool to grab on. You have some type of something to grab onto to help you keep your head above water. And I say keep your head above water because sometimes that's all you can do, is just keep your head above the water and not drown until you can get into a place where you can kind of find your footing and keep going again. But that's very important. So I just want to recap some of what we talked about so far. So the first tip that I said was give yourself permission to grieve. Grief is a personal process. How you do it is completely up to you. It is not, you don't have to be strong all the time. You don't have to be okay. If you're not okay, say you're not okay. It is okay. But even in those times when I'm not okay, I can always go to the rock that is higher than I, and that is Jesus. Now, just a side note for all of those who do not know me, which I think everybody up here does, but if you don't, if you watch this, if you hit replay, please know that the only way that I'm able to sit up here and talk to you after 8 months of walking through this process and continuously walking through it is because of Jesus. He is my strength, and that's how I did it. Now, these tips that I've given to you are not an end all to be all, but they will help you. But a personal relationship and being connected to the true vine is the only way that I was able to live in this process. And so I'm gonna go over the tips, and then I'm gonna kind of shift a little bit. So like I said, giving yourself permission to grieve. You don't have to be unapologetic about it. Know your limitations. You do not have to apologize if you don't want to be bothered. No, I don't want to be bothered. No, I do not want to do this, or I do not want to do that. Like, it's okay to say no. It's okay to say, no, I don't want to be around anybody. You don't want to get stuck in that place. But if you feel like you're in a place where you're feeling kind of overwhelmed, because I get there sometimes where I would rather just be by myself. But even me being by myself is me being by myself in the word, or me being by myself, I'm talking to the Lord, me being by myself, not just sulking and crying, but really being by myself and talking to Jesus and saying, look, I need some help. I can't walk this process by myself. So that's key. And then that healthy environment. Have people that you can reach out to when you feel sad, or when you feel like you don't think that you can make it through this process. Have people who you can connect with, who can make you laugh, who can help shift your perspective, or even people who you can just sit and cry with. They don't want anything. They don't want to see you just boo-hoo. I mean, they're literally there just for you. Have those kinds of people there, so that when you feel like when you get into these places, you have someone that you can pull on to help you get through that process, because it comes in patches. And then choosing to be happy. Make that choice to be happy on purpose. Make the choice to laugh on purpose. Make the choice to be happy on purpose. And this is a final one. Fight that urge to just stay in bed, be alone, and not deal with anything. Now, I told you before that you can, it's unapologetically. You do not have to apologize for not wanting to be bothered, right? You don't have to apologize for not wanting to interact. But you do not want to allow the enemy to draw you into a place of seclusion. That's where depression overtakes you. And that's not what you want to do. When that, I can remember going through processes, and I couldn't, it was like it hit all of a sudden, and it was like it overtook me. And so I just didn't want to go anywhere, but there were still places that I had to go. So I had to go to church. I had to go to work. But if I didn't have those things, I probably would have stayed home and just ate all day and cried and went to sleep. And so don't neglect your daily activities that you had to do beforehand. So if you had to go to school, don't not go to school. If you had to go to work, or if you have to go different places, don't neglect those things. Some places and some things you do need to push through so that you do not lose that place of what is it, normal, that normal place, that place of normal routine, because you're going to need that in order to keep moving. But also you're going to need that so that you don't go into deep depression, so that you don't go deep into a hole that becomes so deep that you can't get out of. One of the things, I say it again, that saved me was having a healthy community and having healthy friends who I could call, people that I could pray with, people that I could even just be around and just sit. I know when I would go to church, sometimes, and I mean, I think I had to preside that first, I think he done it in April, May. I don't know. I think I had to preside once, and then I had to, I presided once, and then I think I had to pray. And I can remember having to do the morning intercession at church. And the only thing that I could say was, God, you faithful. Like, my mind could not get anything else out after that. It's like, Lord, you're faithful. But the more I kept going, the more I did it, the more it's like I started getting back into that rhythm of myself. This was an eight-month process. And sometimes people take longer to walk through their place, but you have to be okay with where you are in your process, and do not rush it. Everybody's process is different. Everybody's process is different. You can't compare how you grieve with how somebody else grieves. Everybody has their own personal, whatever you want to call it, that causes them to grieve the way they do. And so your main thing is to continue to walk through the process instead of sitting in the process. That's number one. Walk through it. Don't sit in it. But what I can say to you is, in this walk, this grief walk, like I told you guys in the beginning, my brother, that was my road dog. That was my dude, right? And when he died, it was sudden. We did not expect it. We did not see it coming. That was not something that we thought would happen. However, in this process, God has shown himself to me in a way that I have never known him before. And I know that my foundation in him and in who he is so much greater. And yes, you go through a storm. However, I came out with more than what I had when I went through it. And so that's what you want to do. And even after you come through the storm and you begin to get yourself back, or start feeling your heartbeat again, when that happens, begin to really just assess where you are and what you have learned walking through that process. What have you gained from the process? Because everything that we go through is not in vain, and everything that we deal with is not it's not in vain. God has a purpose and a plan for everything. So just making sure that you're aware of you and say, God, look, I know this was unexpected, but Lord, what do you want to do in me in this time? What are you saying? How do you want to move? What do I need to do in this? Show me who you are. And that is one of the greatest things I believe that I've learned in this difficult season and in this difficult process. Number one, no matter where you are in your grieving process, you have to have something greater than you to hold on to. If you don't, and that something is Jesus. There is nothing else. I mean, I'm just saying. So you have to hold on to him. I'm talking about, there were times when I was holding on to him and then he was holding on to me. Either way, we didn't let each other go. That's what it's about. We did not let each other go. And that is what it's about. So what I want to do right this second is open things up to anyone. If you have any questions or comments, or if you want to ask me anything, whether it be about the grieving process or anything like that, because I do have a book coming out in the end of January called Grace to Grieve. And it's really just talking about my journey and talking about the process and how to move through it in a way that helps you examine what you have gained in the process and how to take those things to be a blessing to someone else. So if you have any questions, I will open it up to a Q&A really quickly before we go. And I don't know who this person is that's on, but hey. Okay. So if we don't have any questions, Woosah Sister Circle ladies, I will see you guys really soon. I have some other things that I will be releasing into the group shortly. I also have a blog that I just started on my website, www.rondasbarnes.org. Woohoo! I'm excited. So you can go to the blog, read. There's two. One blog is about the vision in the church, which I wrote that this morning after reading this article. And then the other article I wrote a little while ago, and it was my revelation of Jesus as a brother. So if you are interested in reading those two blog posts, you can go to my website, www.rondasbarnes.org. Also, I am coaching again. Woohoo! So I'm ready to get back into the game. I'm excited to be here. I have not done this in a while. I know I love the hearts. So I will be kind of promoting that a little bit more. But yeah, if you're interested or you are looking for a coach, I am a breakthrough coach. So I help you break through to your next, whatever that is. A lot of times once we hit that place of, that once and for all place, that cycle, we keep going around and around and around, the same cycles. And it's like, how do I get out of it? I'm the one that helps you break through to get to that next place. Of purpose, of destiny. If you're trying to start a business, if you're trying to establish relationships, if you're just trying to move up in your company, whatever it is that you're trying to do, I help you in that process to get to that next place of abundance. So if you're looking for someone to help you be accountable and deal with you in areas of fear and procrastination and all that good stuff, not good stuff, but all of that, I'm your girl. But again, you can go on my website and view some of the product. I actually have some other products that I'll be releasing shortly as well. So I'm excited. I'm excited about the new thing that God is doing. I'm excited about this new thing, and I do know it, that he is doing in this time. So if nobody has any questions, thank you guys for joining. Thank you for watching. I'm so excited to be back, and I will join you here again next Tuesday at 9 o'clock. I don't know what we're going to talk about, but I know it's going to be good. Thank you, Woosah ladies, for being a part of this broadcast, and I will see you guys soon. Bye.